What is up, everybody? That's when I start staring at the screen and losing track of time. And there it is. We introduced everybody last week, so we might as well just pop in and get right to the meat and potatoes tonight. Welcome back, TLOU. Welcome back, Jackson. Welcome back, everybody in the chat. We are just we're less than a week away from episode 1 dropping, a massive whopping hour and a half introduction to the Last of Us universe on HBO. How are you guys feeling tonight?
6 days, man. 6 days. I'm ready.
I'm excited. Last Lions game was last night, and The Last of Us starts on Sunday. So that's a good way to start the off season.
It's a win-win.
Mm-hmm. Not for the Lions.
Hey, they won last night. That's all that matters, man.
Yep. Right. Oh man, where do we even begin tonight? Was just telling TLOU, Jackson, right when you came in, that I had all these great ideas today, and I was really pumped and really excited. Finally, the end of the day gets to you, and you just kind of start shutting down. And now I'm sitting here, it's like drawing a blank. We definitely want to cover, take a peek at some of the news articles that have been coming out, because we've been getting thrown some curveballs, in my opinion. I'm wondering if you guys are feeling the same. Our predictions.
I saw one that was like, oh, that's interesting. And yeah, I kind of wanted your guys' take on it.
I don't know if we'll be able to find them fast enough right off the cuff, but I know we can get into this. There's a couple that are really, really kind of threw me a curveball, because I'm like almost like they undid what they said before. But we'll go through a little bit of news. We'll go through some of our predictions going into episode 1 this upcoming weekend and into season 1. But also, what I'm really excited about is to dive into the collectibles tonight, because TLOU and me have been getting into it for a little while. They're way ahead of the game than I am. And the Nearing Nerdvana crew on YouTube actually did a really good special about maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago, where they covered a lot of the really cool collectibles out there that even they were educating me on some stuff. So I'm excited to kind of dive into that, because if there's anybody else here that's got a massive amount of knowledge about that, it's TLOU.
I told you guys last week that I started doing all this when my wife introduced me to this whole concept, and she was all about the game. And then as far as collectibles go, I always collected things, and she, paid attention to what I was doing. She goes, "Oh, that's really cool." She had a few things, but like now her collection is just ridiculous. It's just not even, since she, it's there's a cabinet full of it, and she's just like there's more and more stuff all the time. And now she's finally slowed down, because I feel like she's gotten to the point where she's only going after like really big pieces. And some of those have gotten kind of a little out of control, price-wise.
Yeah, I'm interested to get into that, because you and I are kind of seeing doubles earlier when we started looking some stuff up with some pre-releases or pre-orders coming up, and we're like, hey, wait a second, this kind of seems almost like they're copying some stuff. But right. I'm curious where you guys are at. Like, are you guys like me? You're grabbing anything news related throughout the day through social media to try to find out more about The Last of Us? And if you are you seeing anything contradicting itself?
So I am purposefully not. I'm kind of trying to stay, outside of what you guys tell me, trying to stay a little bit like out of the loop. The only thing I really picked up on, and I don't remember, or I don't know if we talked about this last week, if this was something we already knew about, but the only thing I saw this week is that there isn't a 20-year time jump this time. It's much shorter. That's all I saw this week. So basically the series, I'm assuming it's going to start. Everything's going to happen that happened in the prologue from the game. Maybe not the same way. But that it will not be a 20-year time jump like it exists in the game. And then the only other thing I've seen is that there's no spores. That's it.
Yeah, I saw that today. Correct me if I'm wrong, Double O, but I believe there's still a 20-year gap, but I think they shifted it.
That's what I read as well.
In the game, it was supposed to be what, 2043 or 2033 or
It
something like
goes starts in
Oh.
2013, and the game takes then it jumps to 2033. But now they're doing it from 2003 to like current day. Reason being that they want audiences to relate to current day, so it's better TV when it's current time. That's what it said in the article that I read.
Yeah,
That's
and
I haven't read much more since last week. I've been trying. I mean, like feel like I've been bombarded with commercials and trailers and little snippets and everything, and I'm not trying to read any more theories or any kind of articles like that because I don't want to read. I mean, I have enough. I'm good. Like I don't need.
Yeah,
to
you don't want to spoil
more.
it.
Yeah, I have enough, and I even saw a commercial during football last night. I think one of the games said game presented by The Last of Us and HBO, and it was like, oh wow, it's progressive, and Last of Us was presenting the game last night, so yesterday afternoon, I think.
Nice. Now, that's an interesting choice by them because it's in a post-apocalyptic show. It's like if the apocalypse happened now, and we're assuming that like most of the technology would stop progressing. I mean, everything's kind of a hellhole, right? You'd be like stuck in whatever time the apocalypse started in. Then wouldn't we relate better if the show took place in 2033 or 2043 and the apocalypse took place now? Like if it's 2003, nobody has a smartphone, right? Like everybody's on their Nokia playing their Snake game on their phone. Like that, if that's the reason, I mean, maybe that's not the reasoning. Maybe they're just
Nextel
BSing
Direct
about
Connect.
that.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it'd be odd, kind of an odd choice, I think.
well, I mean, that's a valid point to make, and kind of a caveat to that is I had overheard last year when they started talking about this that they were also considering they were doing it because of the ease of what was available as far as props and vehicles and a lot of other things, and that might be kind of where that relatability comes into play as well.
Yeah,
I
mean, even that though, it's like if you had the apocalypse happen now, right? Then you could buy whatever the hell exists now.
That's true.
Like you could just go to the dealership and get cars.
But that being said, but does it really matter if there's no power? You don't have to have a smartphone. If it's post-apocalyptic, none of that stuff's really going to matter. It's all got to be run down and overgrown, and so like.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, if the goal was okay, we want this show should take place in the year we're in now because it's more relatable to the audience.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I think that's weird.
Yeah, it doesn't make
It
sense
might be
to me,
cool
but yeah.
though.
Yeah.
It might be cool though. It's almost like an alternate present.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like,
yeah.
what if like not smartphones had never been invented? It's 2023 and no smartphones exist. It's 2023 and there's no electric cars, all that kind of stuff. So I'm all for it. It's interesting. I did read that wrong though. Thank you for the catch on that. I am happy to see that there's that big of a time jump because I think that's pretty crucial to the story.
Yeah, definitely. It needs it.
It's huge. And isn't like today like the 20-year anniversary of the iPhone? Was that yesterday or today? Just
I didn't
think
know
about that. If there was never an iPhone.
Holy shit.
Yeah, exactly. So that kind of makes me wonder as we kind of dip into some of the news and some of the stuff coming out was just about a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks ago, there was talk about how the first game was potentially fitting into 2 seasons. I don't remember if you guys caught that I shared that, and I was actually kind of excited. It's like, okay, this is kind of how Double O and I were kind of hoping, anticipating, because we felt like there was a natural cliffhanger kind of halfway through the game that would be a good stop for season 1, and season 2 would be a good pickup leading into wintertime. But they turn right back around like a week later, and there's another article that says, nope, Neil Druckmann confirms we're going to be doing all of the first game in season 1.
So that's confirmed.
That's the article that I was reading. I'm going to pull it up again while you guys discuss that really quick because I want to make sure that I'm not misspeaking when I say confirmed.
I think that doesn't surprise me because I think, like I said last week, like the ending of that first game has to be the ending of the first season. Like that is just too good for
It
them
just makes sense,
yeah. Like I don't know. There's a couple spots where you could put an ending, but like I don't know. I feel like 10 hours is enough time to tell the story. I really do. Like 10 or not, what is it, 9 or 10 episodes? Was it 9 episodes? Whatever it is.
See, this is why we're here talking, because at first we were being told 10 episodes over the last number of months, and then just recently, if you look at IMDb, it says 9.
It's 9? Okay, well, either way, I think that's enough time to tell this story. I mean, you got to remember, like, how long did the game take? It's probably like 12 to 14 hours, the first game total. Like if you play it like most of the time you're not in cutscenes. You're walking around abandoned buildings and picking up notes and doing this and doing that. Like there's the meat of the story can be told in 10 hours. I think.
Exactly.
Yep. I agree with that.
We kind of talked about that a little bit with last week or even before that what our hearts kind of really wanted to see was like an extended storytelling in 2 seasons. Yet when you look at the game and take away a lot of the gameplay, it's like 9, 10, 11 hours of cutscenes.
We can't. The last thing we want is for them to drag it out and just throw fluff in there. Yeah, I don't want to see any of that.
So this is from our chat. Sorry, Double O, I interrupted you.
You're okay.
This is what we found, and this is 2 days ago. Consequence TV, season 1 covering the first game, season 2 covering the second. So I misspoke a little bit here, and this is where I'm kind of getting a little confused. It says that is not the plan or isn't the plan. This being Mazen's words. While season 1 does explore the events of the first game, Mazen says that the amount of story that remains that we have not covered will be more than enough. More than a season of television. So yeah, assuming we could keep going forward, the idea would be to do more than just 1 season. And now this was 2 days ago, shared by HBO's The Last of Us. Interesting. So maybe I got it a little bit backwards, but for some reason,
The Last of Us will cover the entire game in season 1. Season 2 would adapt the second game. That's the article I'm reading from January 4th that I have pulled up right here.
Okay. See how we're finding different pieces.
Now, as far as like where the show goes after the first season, I think that this is like, I think the second game is like tailor-made for there to be like a spin-off show. Like I could totally see the whole second season, like your protagonist is still Ellie, right? And then like the whole season is her, right? And then you do a Last of Us spin-off where you have an Abby season. That's how I would do it. Because then because I don't, all viewers are not going to be happy with that. So I think that's what I would do. Because then you can actually cover the second game in a second season too, unless, like we talked about last week, it's like, okay, well, the third game's not going to come out for another 3 or 4 years. We need to drag this out. Like, you got to hope they don't drag it out, though. Even if it, like, I hope that they didn't jump the gun on the series in general is my hope, because I hope that they're not ruining the third game. I know we're getting ahead of ourselves, but if season 3 airs in 2025 or 2026 or whatever we talked about, like I hope that they don't ruin the third game for people. But yeah, I mean, at a pace of 1 game per season, they're going to be done with this in like a year or 2. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't think they would drag it out, and I don't think they would get ahead of the game. I don't think that makes sense. It just doesn't.
They're not going to George R. Martin it.
They're not going to do that.
So here's what got me kind of twisted. It was IGN shared this I don't know, earlier this last week, I think it was, said the creators hinted at what might happen with the season 2 of the show, as the first season will complete the full story of the first game. The Last of Us second season will likely cover part 2 story. So IGN shared that and said that was part of the creators thing. And then it was Mason that came back, and that's why we've been sharing a lot of this stuff. That's the timeline change. So from Entertainment Tonight or Entertainment ET, we have definitely talked about seasons to come. He revealed, I think everybody at HBO is excited about keeping it going. They want to keep it going. So long as the audience is there and the desire is there for more, we're ready to go. So how do you even really dip into to try to explain this when Mason comes in and says season 2 covering the second? That isn't the plan. While season 1 does explore the events of the first game, so Mason says the amount of story that remains that we have not covered would be more than a season of television. So he's basically referring to the first game having enough story to tell beyond the first season, if I'm reading that correctly, right?
Well, when did he say this? And Consequence TV is the source?
Yeah, I'm not saying it's the greatest source, but this is why we're
Hold
trying to
on.
hash it out and figure it out.
The Last of Us.
Oh, you pull that up.
So I'm looking at one article. One article from November. They might have pulled it from there. Last of Us. Yeah, I mean that the latest one I know they pulled, like, literally that was released like a few days back. So I'm gonna say that the whole first season, this is my guess, first season will cover the first game. What concerns me is that ET portion of that you shared, where they're basically saying, as long as people watch the show, we'll just keep making it. Like, how?
That's a valid
Like
point.
that is like Walking Dead mentality to a T. So yeah, I like, if they're going to do that, they need to stretch this stuff way thinner than it is. I think.
Oh man. And again, IMDb, this is what we've been kind of talking about, trying to figure out how they're gonna end this or cap this off. IMDb is still showing 9 episodes, and some of the details are starting to get punched in here, because you guys were educating me, or maybe somebody else told me, that anybody with an IMDb account can add information. So I don't know how truthful any of this is.
Yeah, we talked about that last week.
I'm guessing they know how many episodes there are. Whoever did this, I'm guessing there are 9. By the way, so how many seasons? So I found the Consequence TV source that you were looking at. How many seasons will The Last of Us run? So basically, he's saying, while the answer above might lead you to believe that the series is only planned to run 2 seasons, 1 for the first game, 2 for the second, that isn't the plan. The first one does explore the events of the first game, but I think he's just saying the amount of stories that remain outside of the games is enough for more than, like, I think he just misstated the way he said this. I think he's just saying, like, there's a lot of story here for us to go beyond 2 seasons.
Okay.
I think that's all he's saying. I don't think he's saying when things are going to be situated. I think he's just saying, like, it'll go longer than that.
Gotcha. That's a fair point. Yeah, it's easy to take a lot of this out of context, especially when there's different portions or pieces coming from 5 or 6 different ways, and it just kind of gets mangled up with as much information. So I'm glad TLOU brought that up, that he's done. He's shut off. He's not reading any more things. I'm going to take that advice as well and run with that. And for the next 5 or 6 days, not paying attention to anything. Get ready for an hour-and-a-half episode of awesomeness, and then get ready to talk about it next Monday night with you guys.
Yeah, and by the way, so I shared the link in the private chat and in the YouTube chat for that article. And the next section of that article after that kind of quells the concern of them dragging it out. He basically said, no, this isn't the kind of show that's going to be 7 seasons or 6. I just don't believe in milking it. every episode should just deserve your eyeballs. He doesn't like filler, doesn't like stretching. Everything should be as compelling as possible. So concision is what matters, and basically we don't have to worry about that.
Okay, good.
So that is good. So
Yeah.
there's more stuff there, but they're not going to drag it out just for the sake of dragging it out.
Awesome. There might never be a part 3, so this has to work as an ending. Nice. I like it. Thanks for finding that. Because even those little snippets get taken out of context.
Yep.
Especially when you're bombarded and tired, like 00 say, with a bunch of different information.
Yeah, now everybody's just saying whatever they want, and who knows what's true in there, you know.
Exactly, because you're starting to see a flood of YouTube content coming out with, it seems like there's a lot of opportunity for content creators to really get their hat in the ring. And it sounds like, once again, communities are becoming divided based on a lot of the choices that are being made. And I'm seeing content popping up about this person's not liking the casting or this. So it sounds like it's just kind of bubbling back up. A lot of the same tension and division is bubbling back up from 2021 when the game was released, part 2.
People need to chill and wait to see the show.
Yep.
Like, you know, I just think that gets a little ridiculous. I feel like the internet, that's like one of the worst things about being kind of a nerd or a fan of things, being heavily into the fandom, is it has just become so toxic that people are pissed off and want to scream from the rooftops all the time. Where it's like, if you don't like something, like, you can say you don't like it, but it's not even out yet.
Right. Let it happen.
Well, what's funny too is, like, I was just, so correct me if I'm wrong, but just like checking out the Last of Us game related stuff, did they purposely false advertise for the second game? Like, because I saw a clip where
hold on a second. Hold on.
Yeah, go ahead.
We gotta have the spoiler banner if we're gonna talk about some of that stuff, right?
Okay. Yeah, you're right.
Let's wait.
You're right.
Let's wait till
Never
we get
mind.
there. Yeah.
A certain character.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And they made you think something else was gonna happen, and it didn't.
Right.
Yep. I know exactly.
Which I feel like they do that for movies. Like, it's not that big of a deal, but like, let's remember that he might be pulling those antics with this show too. Like, who's to believe anything they're saying? Like, and I don't have a problem with that. I don't really care. But like, you never know. I mean, they have to kind of trick you to make it compelling. They can't just come out in the press and say everything. I already thought that one thing so Andy shared in our little group chat for this, he had shared a clip, or maybe it was you, but you shared a clip of like a making of behind the scenes where basically they just drop the big thing that happens right at the beginning of the show.
Yeah, that was me.
That is like, that's ridiculous in my opinion. Like, it is the beginning of the show. Like, you're trying to get people on board, I guess, but at the same time, it's like, man, does that lessen the impact of that first episode, assuming that that's how they structure the episode, is that's the ending, right?
And
like,
that's a really good thing to bring up, because like Nick's Kicks and Comics is asking if we would mind if they diverted from the source material much. And I don't think it's a whether you mind it or not. And it's already like, when they're dropping, like, they're already diverting from the source material when they're kind of like spoiling episodes, and they're dropping some of that stuff and just sharing it in teaser trailers and just presenting that to people that haven't seen The Last of Us, because now they're diverting from the experience, right?
Yeah.
So if they're diverting from the experience, that's the same as diverting kind of from the source material much. And there's a couple of things that came up, and I'm interested about the lack of spores too.
Yeah, the source material thing's funny, because it's like, you read a book or you play, in this case, this is a very interesting situation where, like, I'm hyped about something that's based on a game that's actually a cinematic game. Like, if a Mortal Kombat movie comes out, all I did was fight Mortal Kombat. Like, there's little cinematic cutscenes, sure, during your like story mode or whatever, but like, you're not concerned with whether they're going to faithfully adapt the story of Mortal Kombat 10 into your, you know what I mean? Whereas with this, it's like that, it's that same situation of when you read a book and then you watch the movie. Now, people like to get bent out of shape when things don't follow the source material, but like there's something that needs to be noted, that like sometimes following exactly what's in a book, like it works in a book, it doesn't work in a movie, right? Like it, like you, that the one that's always talked about is like, I don't know if anybody ever saw the made for TV movie The Langoliers from Stephen
Yes,
King.
I love that movie.
Okay, so that is like if you read that book, Andy, it's literally like they took every single thing, like all of the dialogue, everything that happens in that little short story is in that 3.5-hour movie. And like, okay, you're just making a made for TV movie, right? But like, you could make that a really bomb ass movie, but you can't have it exactly word for word like the book is, because then it just like, people don't talk like that. They don't necessarily like think out loud, you know? And I think that like, for The Last of Us, like they can't do the game exactly. Like, you know, the spores thing, like, okay, there's certain things like, okay, if we're going to make compelling characters and we want it to be character driven, what can we drop? What is not essential to the plot of The Last of Us? Like, we aren't here and emotionally invested in spores. Those are just the thing that drive the action of the game, right? They're a thing you run into. Now, I think they could have worked it into the game a little more cleverly than just like, oh, we put our gas mask on and nothing ever comes of it. It's never a problem for us during those scenes. But and I guess they do play a role narratively, because one of the characters is immune, and he or she has to put a gas mask on just to pretend like they're not. But they're not completely essential. So dropping spores, I'm fine with that. I really don't. It doesn't hurt me, like, for my excitement of the show. It doesn't concern me.
As far as the source material goes, the game, the essential story, I believe from what I've seen, is going to be the same story, and whether some of the details are changed, how some of the people look is changed, and the casting like different. They don't look exactly like the 3D rendered character that we saw in the game, and that's okay. Like, they found the right actors to play the character for whatever the part happened to be, and you know, sometimes initial reaction can be like, "Oh my God, that's not right. That doesn't work. That's not good. I'm not happy about that." But like you said earlier, Jackson, like, let's let it happen. Let's see it. Once it happens, and then we can decide if then you can decide if you like it or not. But all we've seen so far is the same, maybe like, 2 to 5 minutes of footage shown to us in like 100 different ways over the past few weeks, and that's okay. Like, we've seen it, and now I want to see the story. Now I want to see what they did. I want to see this director, who's acclaimed director, who knows what he's doing with the post-apocalyptic story, and I want to see this director who directed this game, who told us an amazing story that, like, literally was one of the best video games I've ever played. So they're both working on it. I want to see what happens. I want to see what they put out, and then I'll let you know if I like it or not after I watch it.
So what do you guys think? How far do you think they're going to make it in that hour and a half first episode?
Well, we got to be careful with the spoilers, because I think I know exactly where it's going to go.
Yeah, so I think what they're going to do. Oh, good. Spoilers tag.
Yeah,
Spoilers
all right.
tag, everyone.
Spoilers. Going to count 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay.
All right, so I'm going to try not to spoil here as a curveball, but what I'm going to say is, we all know, like, we'll just call it the prologue of the game, before the 20-year flash forward.
Exactly.
Right?
Yep.
So I think that's it. But I think during that hour and a half, we're going to have flashback scenes to Joel's life. I think they're going to add some color as far as his marriage and his relationship with his daughter and all that stuff. So I think that's going to be the first episode. That's my guess. And another, as far as my first like big prediction related to the last topic, there's going to be a contingent of people, and I already saw them on Reddit, who hate the second game. Please don't loop me in with these people, who are going to hate this no matter what, because now they're just driven to hate it.
Mm-hmm. Like I said,
So,
that community division is kind
yes.
of welling back up.
They are
It's
not
different.
going to like this.
Here's the thing. Like, it's different if you hate it just because of what you heard and what you think it is, or if you don't like what happened and you disagree with what actually happened and you don't like it. You're allowed
Right.
to play something and not like it. What's different to me is like the haters there's so many people that dislike it and that don't even know. They just read about what it is and what happened and what it looks like and what they think or what somebody else told them is wrong with the game, and that's why they don't like it. Which is a
Well,
lot
yeah,
of the
it's like
contingent that you talk about.
these people, like a lot of the people I'm seeing online who hate it, it's like they can't give it any props. I mean, I'm sorry, but just looking at it, it's impressive.
Right.
Even the second game, even if you don't like the story, which I really didn't, but let's not pretend it's just this steaming pile of shit that exists and doesn't deserve any credit whatsoever. I mean, how much work probably went into that thing? Like,
Years.
yeah, exactly. So yeah.
So I will tell you, like, this weekend we started we started playing the second game this last weekend. I mean, I played it before, but it's been a while. She's been pushing me to play, and after you said you played it, and she's like, "No, you got to start." So we finally started playing it over the weekend. So we got, I don't know, a few hours into it.
So
Definitely
are you shooting the nice puppy dogs yet? Are you killing those
haven't
innocent nice dogs yet? Or no,
haven't
no.
gotten there yet. Haven't gotten
Okay.
there yet. No, not there. I mean, the last time I even saw that one was when it initially came out. So since then, I haven't gone back. And so, I mean, I know what happens, but now she played it and I watched, so now I'm playing it.
Okay.
And she's making me do it. So she wants me to try to empathize with her, with what she's trying to convert me to her side, and it's not gonna
Nice.
happen. I will tell you at the end, when I told you guys I played the first game recently, and at the end of the first game, I mean, it's spoiler time, right? So we're okay. When it came time to the hospital scene, I used a flamethrower. I knew what was going to happen. That last scene in the hospital room, I used a flamethrower, and there was a piece of charred body on the ground at the end.
There you go.
So
So in
just
the
so you know.
second game, that should be a charred body then. I would
Exactly.
think. Yeah, right. It should
So
read your mind.
yeah, I
Yeah.
knew what happened in the second game. I knew what was going on, and whatever it was,
So
I still made a charred body on the ground.
so you made it worse for Abs then. She's gonna come into a roasted father in that room.
Exactly.
Andy, we didn't get your opinion. What the first episode? What do you think? What's going to happen?
Sorry.
No, it's okay. All good. We got in a tangent. It's partly my fault.
We'll finish off with this and roll on to some of the collectible stuff in a little bit here, because this leaves a very glaring question for me as I try to kind of figure out where this first episode is going to land. And all I do is get more questions arising before I can even get there. And I'll bring up the cast list again really quick here, because why is Anna Torv Tess listed for 5 episodes out of a 9-episode season? Spoilers going. So this is where my head is bubbling, and I'm getting really like, I just want to sit down and watch it and find out what's going to happen. Because you think about it, they're diverting, this is like they're diverting from the game quite a bit. So now let me pull that back.
No,
not diverting from the game quite a bit, but this is like one of those kind of glaring areas where they must be utilizing this as a diversion from the game, because she wouldn't even go beyond 2 episodes if they followed the game storyline heavily.
Okay. Theory. Now, again, I pray to God they don't do this, because I hate this style of storytelling. They did it in The Stand, the recent adaptation of The Stand on CBS Plus or whatever the hell that was, Stephen King story. They better not make this one of those, we open in the future and the whole story is told in like pieces from the past. Like you're going through the end of the story with Joel, and as you're going through the end of the story, he's like narrating what has happened previously, because in that case you could have Tess in 5 episodes, or Bill in 4 episodes. I mean, right? That's a relatively small section of the game, right?
Yeah, we still don't have David, so I'm guessing Jeffrey Pierce Perry is the David character. Just shave that beard off of him. I'm trying to find a picture of him clean shaven, and see if he looks similar to the guy in the trailers. But the first episode, I don't even know where to begin now, because there's enough in the casting list, and if all of this is true, are they
or this is just bullshit, right? Like maybe they know how many episodes there are. I mean, you think that'd come from somewhere. I feel like that's a sign that there has to be like flashbacks and stuff.
Right, there
Which
could be
concerns
flashbacks
me.
later on down the road.
That concerns me. I want like a linear story for this.
But even
I don't want.
You're not going to get a linear story. Are you already not? Like, did you play any DLC from the first game?
No.
Okay, so that alone, like, that's a huge flashback.
Yeah, but that's different.
But that's going to come later, though. That's not coming at the beginning.
Well, okay, that's fine. That's its own thing, right? But I don't want like Joel basically in the hospital telling me about all this shit that happened along the way.
I don't want that at all. Yeah. No.
I want like a linear story. Now, from what I understand, the DLC, is that Ellie's story before she meets Joel? Is that correct?
Yeah.
The main DLC from the first game?
Yes, Left Behind it's called.
So you can work that. You can work that in there. You can have like Ellie's thing going on. You have the first part with Joel, right? And then you go to the future, tell a little bit more of Joel. Maybe then you have an Ellie episode. One episode can probably cover that whole thing.
I think you're 100% right.
And then they meet in episode 4.
Oh man, this is
and then they do the rest of the season.
It's gonna be interesting to see where they start this, because now that you mentioned that, the DLC is like Jackson, like what you don't want to see. It goes back and forth between the Ellie and Riley period from the books, or just before the comic books.
Okay.
And then it flashes back to Ellie when she's trying to rescue Joel from the university mishap.
Got it.
And then you kind of, I don't want to spoil it too much for you, but it does flip-flop back and forth a little bit. So you're actually living in two timelines. It's not linear. It's you're back and forth between the two timelines, kind of dipping in and dipping out.
They don't have to do that in the show, though, right? I mean,
I hope they don't. I don't know. I don't know.
In the game, it kind of made sense, but
how are they going to pack? See, this is where my head is back to. How are they going to pack all of this in 9 episodes? Because Ashley Johnson's listed for 2 episodes, and we know who she's playing now after digging a little bit deeper. If you played the game and collected all the notes and all the letters and saw the name of the individual there, the spoilers are going across. But near the end of the first game, Joel picks up a letter that was from Marlene, and the letter wasn't from Marlene. It was in Marlene's possessions, but the letter was actually from Ellie's mom.
Right.
Ellie's mom is the character that Ashley Johnson is playing in the show. So she's listed for 2 episodes. This is where we can't even really trust IMDb. Why am I going this far down the rabbit hole? Let's go into some of the collectibles before we make my head explode.
It is interesting though. Like, last comment on this is like, we really don't know. I trust HBO's ability to hire good writers and write something good more than the CBS, whatever the hell, Paramount Plus, whatever station The Stand was on. But The Stand was a disaster. And it was all because of that, because they undercut the entire series by basically showing you shit that left you with no tension whatsoever, because you knew who was alive, you knew who was dead. So I just hope that they're not thinking that's the way to go. You know,
I don't think so. It's HBO, and they know.
Right.
They've learned a lot, and I think they're going to take us in the right direction. We might not like everything that they do, but they're going to try to tell us a good story, and they know how to do cliffhangers, and they know how to do gore, and they know how to make us love and hate characters.
I just know that we're going to be back here 7 days from now. And I'm going to pull up HBO Max, and I'm just going to pause it at certain moments so we can review some of the episode, and we're probably going to be pretty shocked at where they go. I hate this now. Now I'm like backpedaling so hardcore. Maybe we won't be shocked at all. Either way, We talked about this last week about getting into some of the collectibles, and my mind is absolutely blown away at some of the images that Double O sent me of their collection. But I guess a good place to start is when the not just when the games came out, because actually the comic book predated the game by several months. Is that correct?
I don't know, actually, 'cause I didn't buy the comic book when it came out. I bought it way later.
April of 2013. And I think the game was June or July 2013 when it came out.
Gotcha.
So the
It was
comic
like
book
a
actually
promotional deal. Yeah, that makes sense.
miniseries, 4 issues, print run, and the Nearing Nirvana crew was awesome. Go check out their episode of what they did, breaking down a lot of this stuff. They dug really deep at some of the books. The first issue was just over 6,000 print run.
Right. And
Less
they,
than
yeah, go ahead.
less than Walking Dead.
And then they had a second print. Then they had a couple special editions of it as well.
Yeah,
Like that post-pandemic. I think there was there a third print for the first issue?
I think you're right. I think issue 1 went to 3 printings.
Yeah,
and I
that
think
sounds right.
issues 2, 3, and 4 went to second printings.
Okay.
The post-pandemic edition came out with the actual post-pandemic video game, which I didn't realize was a really big box full of other really cool stuff.
Yeah.
There's a statue that came with that is selling on eBay for 1,500-ish range. The statue alone is expensive.
Yeah, when we first started looking at it, the wife wanted to buy, kept going back and forth about buying it, and that post-pandemic edition was right around $1,000. She's like, I don't know if I want to spend $1,000 on it, because we kept reading stuff about it, because that statue was very low quality. It wasn't like a super nice solo Wookiee. It'll be good, man. You'll like it. It's good.
It's gonna be good.
Yeah, if you don't know anything about it, it's gonna be great. But that statue was like really like not a good quality. It was like cheap PVC and thrown together. So like I kind of like, I'm not gonna lie, I kind of talked her out of spending that money on the post-pandemic edition. And now that same one, if you buy the whole thing complete, it's around 2,000. Yep. So yeah, that same one. And the statue, like you said, that statue alone, it's a Joel and Ellie statue, and it's 1,500.
I had the same comment every time I looked for that statue in the post-pandemic edition. There's something bent on it, or I think it was Ellie's rifle or Joe's rifle was always broken in a lot of the pictures when they were reselling it on eBay. And I'm like, this thing just doesn't look like it's done really well. Well, no, right. It's a first run of statues they did in a hurry for the post-pandemic edition to get those out. And now they're just going for an astronomical amount of money because they're so hard to find.
Right. And hard to find in good shape.
Hard to find in good shape.
Do you have a link to any like pictures of the statue, anything like that? Was it like a sideshow collectible? What was it?
I'm glad you mentioned that, and I'm going to pull that up right now. We can find it on eBay.
So that statue, Jackson, was like a deluxe edition of the game when it first came out. Like you could buy the regular just cartridge or the disc cartridge. You could buy just the disc, and then or you could buy this post-pandemic edition that had a bunch of stuff in it. It was like a large box, and it had the statue.
I see it, $725.
Yeah. There you go.
Yep, that's the one I'm looking at.
Yep.
See, broken rifle barrel, statue only, $725. But here's the entire box right here, the $1,800 for the whole kit and caboodle.
It was Sony. So I don't know who made the statue, but Sony released it with the game Solo Wookiee.
I'd take this one. Putting it in the chat, Andy. I'd rather have that one. That's the sideshow one, I think.
I'm glad you brought that one up. Actually,
we're getting there.
Yeah, we're getting there.
Wait, hold on. Does someone own that?
You mean this one right here?
You own that?
It turned out it's a lot smaller than I thought it would be, and Sideshow sold the leftovers because this is done by
Mamegiori, Mamagiori.
Okay.
So it's Japanese made, and it came like that with both pieces. And originally it sold for between $500 and $600, I believe. Maybe around maybe 500 plus shipping, I think it was. And then Sideshow sold, like Andy said, Sideshow sold what was left from Japan. They made a certain number of them, and that was announced on one of the Outbreak days, which is now known as Last of Us Day, which is September 26th, I believe, of every year, which is the day the outbreak actually happened in the game. So every year they commemorate that day by releasing stuff, and whether it's online things, whether it's statues, whether it's posters, whether it's so many things. So they've been doing that since, I want to say, 2015 or so, that they released stuff. So this was from 2019. I think they announced that statue that Andy has right now, and he got it about a year ago?
Maybe closer to 2 now, because what we did is when we discovered Sideshow, we discovered their payment plan, and Sideshow was charging upwards of $5 for that, and I didn't pay attention to the pictures that much. I knew that this was going to be kind of hard to find and get at some point, because like I was looking at the post-pandemic one was skyrocketing in price and harder to find, so I just committed to it and got it ordered. I was thinking we were going to get like a full 12, 13-inch statue, and we've got something substantially smaller. So I'm kind of like, wow, this is under the quality that Sideshow normally puts out, but it's just the same amount of price or higher than what Sideshow puts out, but it's the limited availability. They had just a handful of extras that they were selling, and it's probably one of the better quality ones that we've been able to get so far.
It's almost more of a figure, like it's not like I've got a couple Sideshow items. You've seen pictures, Andy, of my Darth Vader, for instance, my giant bust that I have. Premium format.
I remember when you got that.
Yeah, so I've got that. And yeah, I'm shocked. There isn't like a big badass statue of these characters. Well, it doesn't exist.
There is. It's not. That's not that one. So Dark Horse did put out a full-size Ellie from the second game. They put out a full-size Joel, and those are 12-inch size. But I think we're going to get to some of those. There's also a new one too that we'll talk about in a minute.
Yeah, there's now that the show is getting closer to coming out, there's a lot more stuff coming out. I was unable to save any of those videos, TLOU, from Instagram. But what I'm doing is I'm going through and pulling the just the still images, and I'm going to see if I can share the videos in a different fashion, because this is
can I message them to you?
We can try.
I'll try it.
We'll pull up the images and then go to the video clips in just a second here, because this is substantial. That Vader piece, I remember when you got I remember when you got the Jason one.
Freddy,
yeah.
Don't get them mixed up, Andy. That's like, I'll leave this room right now. I can't have Freddy and Jason mixed up.
That's fair. That is fair.
I'm just kidding. Because Sideshow, like, I've got a couple pieces from them. They're awesome. They do have that like Hot Toys section, and I feel like that's not them. Maybe it is them. I don't know. I've always been kind of confused about that, but you pulling up that those were different manufacturers kind of made me think like, oh, I better really take a close look at what I buy from them.
Sideshow sells lots of things from other manufacturers. Yeah, so you got to see what the actual manufacturer is of the item that you're buying from them. They didn't used to, but they definitely do now.
So this first picture blew me away. Just the sheer amount of awesomeness that is sitting here, because this is walk us through this really quick, TLOU.
All right, I'm trying to see all the things that are there. So right there, you are looking at, I believe that is on the left is a backpack. I'm not sure who is that. I don't know whose backpack that is. Maybe it's just a Last of Us branded backpack. In the front is Abby's jacket that she wore in the game with the WLF. There's a Ellie t-shirt down there with her tattoo on it in front. Behind that is a 7-inch record from the song. Most of this stuff looks like it's from the second game. So you're looking at there's an Ellie edition and a collector's edition from the second game. It's got a bunch of stuff in it, just like like little bracelet and like T-shirt and like a bunch of random stuff in those editions. You're looking at a little Ellie plushie on top of that. Behind the little Ellie plushie is your statue, the same one that you have. And then right above that is a promo, like it's a Last of Us first game, something that sat in like a GameStop, I believe. And those little green things, those leaves on there are like actual, like they're delicate. They're not actual plant material, but they're supposed to look like it. And it says "Game coming soon" on the front of it. She got that from, I don't know. She got that before I met her, so that's something she's had for a long, long time. This is part of our stairway going upstairs. That's an old promo poster, and then that's a piece of art that we actually picked up while we were at a con in Denver. Right below it, it's a giraffe with Joel and Ellie, like she's like touching the giraffe. I'll show that in a minute. She just brought down a statue to show. And then that's just like some random mushroom pictures, kind of goes with the Moho motif. And then some of that's also like fan art. I don't know if it's fan art, but like it's not official. It's like things that she bought that were made probably on Etsy that she got those.
I didn't know they did pops too.
Yep, she's got the pops. One of them looks like a GameStop. I think the Ellie came online. And then that clicker was also a GameStop exclusive. I don't own any pops, but that's the only pops that are in our house are those Last of Us ones.
Dude, that's an epic collection. I'm not able to pull those videos up, unfortunately, but the statue you mentioned.
So there's a statue that Dark Horse put out. These were all...
Is it the one she brought down?
It's one of them that she brought down. I can grab her here. This is the newest one. It's still in the box because we just got this like, I don't know, a couple months ago. So this is a Joel statue. It looks like this. I don't know if it shows the front of it at all. Yeah, there you go. So this is Joel from like how you see him at the beginning of the second game. Yeah. So this was last year's 2021 Outbreak Day thing.
Not Sideshow though, no.
No, this is Dark Horse. These were all Dark Horse Deluxe, Dark Horse Direct. Yeah, there's an Abby, there's an Ellie, and there's Joel from Dark Horse. And you could only get them from their website for like, I don't know if it's like 48 hours or whatever time there was to order it.
Well, if that stuff sold out lightning fast beforehand, it's going to sell out even faster the next time around.
Every year we're paying attention to see what comes out. And I don't know if there's much more that, because she has like Ellie's jacket, like, you know, the black and red plaid jacket, then things like that. You know, she bought all of those things early on, or I bought them for her early on. There's a bunch of little random things in that cabinet that she has that were in that video, but I don't know what else. I can't remember all the things that are in it, but those are the best. I mean, the biggest pieces that you saw there.
Yeah, we can share them via Google Drive for next time and get them uploaded.
Got it.
I can get files like that moved over.
Cool.
I do know that the post-pandemic edition video game made it overseas to Europe too. And one of the things they did when they shipped that overseas to Europe is they took the comic book and shrunk it down.
Yep. Wow, look at that.
Yep, they made a little ash can version of the post-pandemic edition of the comic and sent that over to Europe. Now these things this one's not in the greatest of shape. It's got some spine ticks on it. There are some that are graded, and the asking prices are really high on the graded copies. I'm hoping that as the show comes out, more of these get flushed out of collections and become more available and drive the price down to get a high grade copy.
I have never seen one of those in real life.
And they're cute. They're just a tiny. I have not opened. In fact, while we're sitting here talking about it, it's not like this is going to be perfect graded condition or anything like that. But let's take a peek and see if it's the exact comic book. And the one other thing that we hadn't talked about, maybe you could talk. You know more about it than I do, but the hardcover that came out.
Yeah, the hardcover. I've only read about the hardcover. It came out during the PAX gaming conference and or WonderCon. I'm not sure exactly which. There was a limited number of them. It was a hardcover version of all 4 books put together. I believe they were signed, and it was like that was the only place to get it. It was exclusive for that con, and those. I mean, again, I've never seen one of those in real life either. That looks like the whole thing. It's number one,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Super cool. It's just a miniature version of the first comic book. And I genuinely thought that this was just in the United States and it was just an ash can version. So for the longest time, for a couple of seasons, a couple of years, I was looking for this. I kept searching for The Last of Us ash can, which is incorrect because it's not an ash can. It's just a mini version. I mean, we as comic book collectors, we kind of refer to it as an ash can. But when you're searching for it online, you got to search the European version of the post-pandemic edition to find this. And there are still actually full kits together available online for really high prices, but you can still buy the whole thing. And the reason why a lot of these got damaged is they are shipped in, I think, fabric holders within the holder of the video game. So there's nothing really protecting them from getting too beat up.
So that's a small version of the other book that you have right there, back there behind you?
Yep. So this is what was released in the United States was the post-pandemic edition. The full-size comic was within that collector's box. And then the mini one was
9.8.
I got lucky with this one. So originally I picked up a 9.6 because it was what I could afford at the time. And then just recently, Ben from the Hot 10 list from
House of Stein.
The House of Stein, he did another Stein collector's packs where you can do mystery boxes, and this was one of the big gets out of that series. And Fat Mamba from IG won it, but he said, "Hey," I asked him, I probed him to see if he'd be interested in a trade, and I actually traded a couple of books for this, so I'm almost there on a completed run of 9.8 books. Still need the second print, but I've got the first print, the third print. I've got this one. And then I don't have that little mini European edition yet graded. So there's 2 graded books that I'm still missing for that set. But the little guy, I'm not going to be able to get in a 9.8. I think there's only a couple of those on the census.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, really quick, I want to, Solo Wookie was saying it's like Resident Evil, and it's maybe little parts of it are, but it's not. Take a little bit of Resident Evil, Metal Gear Solid, things like that are... you have to sneak around a lot. You have to there's times where you have to shoot. There's puzzles you have to solve. There's weapons you have to upgrade. There's a lot of things like that you have to do. And it's not just like shoot 'em up like all over.
It's not a clone. I mean, Resident Evil wasn't either, right? I mean, clearly the game took a lot of inspiration from Resident Evil, and just that, like I said in the chat, like if you have 15 rounds in your gun, you feel like you're ready to go. Like you're well armed with 15 bullets.
Yeah, exactly.
compared to other games where it's like,
unlimited
you've
bullets.
got right. Yeah,
I think that's how they do a really good job delivering some of the suspense.
I agree. Well, and it makes you use stealth now. There's parts of the game where, like in Resident Evil, stealth really wasn't a thing. I mean, let's be honest. You had to clear a room, move on to the next room. This one you have more choice. Now, one thing I don't think the game does very well is there's, especially in the second one, there's spots where you enter a room and it's like they act like you're supposed to use stealth, but the enemies move in such a way that it's like, no, this would be impossible. It would take me all day to figure out how to use stealth here. I'm just going to shoot everything. So I almost feel like it's like the illusion of choice.
Yeah.
Well, I do know
not really there.
When they did the remastered edition, they did improve the AI
for the first game.
For the remaster, so
your first game remastered, right? Not the. So there's
You're talking
the first
on the
game
on the PS5.
Okay, so there's the first game. There's The Last of Us Remastered, and there's The Last of Us Part 1. So I played Remastered, which was the 4.
Oh, okay.
Game.
Yeah, same here. That's when I played.
But the second game was the one that I thought was like, okay, this is a little too much. Like there's this part where you're in like the TV station. Like there's no way to get out of there without killing everybody. Like as far as I could tell. Like you were not going to sneak out of there.
No, some of the best clipped content on YouTube about brutal gameplay comes from that TV station.
Yeah, it was brutal. Well, and even the dogs, right? Like the dogs are kind of cheap. Like, I don't know how to get, like, I never figured out how to stealthily get past the dogs. I just killed everything. I just didn't have the patience for it. Maybe there's a way, if I wanted to stretch my game time to like 45 hours, maybe there's a way to do it. But the other neat thing about the game, though, is that you like don't even like, another way to handle an encounter is you just run and you just get out. And you'll get to a next part where you barricade a door and it's like, okay, I'm through that. Don't have to worry about it. Now you didn't pick up anything. You didn't like get all the neat shit. But I mean, the game, I think you pick up enough stuff out of drawers and open enough drawers that are empty where it doesn't hurt you too much to pass some of that stuff.
You made a comment the other day about I hope they start searching through all the drawers for bullets and tape and everything, and I'm like, this is gonna be hilarious.
Well, dude, that's another thing that's stupid about the game, right? Like, okay, you'll have a room, right, or a kitchen, and there's like 8 drawers, but there's only one you can open, right? So it's like, oh, there's got to be an item in there. And then you open it, it's empty. It's like, well, wait a minute. Why can I only open that drawer if it's empty anyway? Why can't I open all the drawers? Like, it doesn't make any sense, except for like, oh, we need people to be able to do stuff, so we'll put a drawer here. But neither here nor there. We're getting in the weeds. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
As far as the collectibles go, the comic books were, I'm not going to chase issues 2, 3, and 4. Because prices are going up. They're charging a premium because the show's about to drop. I'm hoping that once the show is done and it kind of becomes a faded memory between seasons, or once it's all completely done, I'll wrap up and get issues 2, 3, and 4 and grade it in 9.8 and complete a CGC registry set for that. It's just one of those things where I was excited about picking some of this stuff up way earlier before it became a thing, because asking prices for some of these books now are well over $1,000. They're not selling for that, but people are putting the asking prices at that $1,200 to $1,500 range for a 9.8 for issue 1, which is, I don't know, it's like 5 or 6, 7, 8 times more than what we paid for ours a year and a half ago.
Yeah, I thought about getting this stuff in 9.8, but like I decided, like, my PC stuff, like, I'm not gonna, like, unless I find good deals on it, I'm not gonna chase it down. So I ended up with just getting raw copies. Like, I got a few raw copies, and that's all I ever like went after, because I didn't want to pay the 9.8 premiums. And now it's like there's no way I'm gonna do that. Like, I'm just not.
I actually took all my raw copies and traded them to Solo Wookie. It was either Solo Wookie or somebody else. I traded for a bunch of high grade Punisher stuff from Volume 2 to complete that CGC registry set. And I was sitting there looking at these raw books, and I'm like, it's nice to have these. And then I was like, somebody else is really going to enjoy them too. And this is a really good time to trade these away and keep the graded books. And then I was hoping to find one of the other things that we didn't have. You talked about it for a little bit. I was hoping to find one of these out there in the wild for something affordable, and I have not. And this has gone absolutely insane. I don't even know what the last one sold for, but it's nowhere near this much. But that hardcover American Dreams.
Oh, right. Yeah. The one we were talking about.
Guys, I got to drop quick. I'll see you next week, and I'm excited for next week to talk about the first episode of The Last of Us.
Yeah, have a great night, man. We're going to wrap it up here in a little bit too.
All right. Hey, have a good one, guys. Thanks again. Have a good one.
Yep.
Bye.
See you soon. It's just this thing is absolutely gorgeous. And walk me through that again while I was downloading images. You said this was a exclusive?
Yeah, so my understanding is that it was an exclusive for either PAX West or WonderCon on the West Coast. Maybe at both places it was available, and it was limited to, and again, my facts, it's been a while since I read about it, but I believe it was only 1,000 copies.
Only 1,000. Okay, that explains why it's been so hard to find. A couple of them that I found were damaged, ended up selling in that $400-ish range. This one looks pretty good, but they want $950, and I'm like,
oof.
Can I get one for like $80? And it's just no way. No, can't find one. That would be really cool to have add to the collection. One of the other things, the CEO my wife got me for Christmas last year was the deluxe art book for part 2.
Nice.
So I want to find the deluxe art book for part 1 here soon as well.
There was only, I don't think there was a deluxe for part 1. It was just one
so
version.
just the regular one.
Yeah.
because this deluxe came with the really cool. I'm sure you guys have this and you guys have seen it, but for everybody out there that hasn't seen it, the little art piece in the frame.
Yeah, it's awesome.
But the
And a slip cut in the slipcase.
look, this is just super, super, super high quality. I haven't even broken in the spine yet.
Yeah.
But just to see a lot of the set art and everything in here, and just the storyboard art, I hate to try to even open it up yet because I haven't worked the spine in. It's absolutely stunning, and I don't know. I don't know if they're still printing those things or if they're going to be done printing them. But it seems like a lot of the really super sleek and super awesome hardcover stuff has been hard to find.
Yeah, like I haven't seen it. I haven't looked either, but I mean, I know when it first came out, it was like they had to go back to a second, another printing for it. So there was at least 2 printings. I don't know if there's a difference, but I know they were out of stock for a little while. Then they came back in. But yeah, when that game first dropped, the part 2 game, they definitely put out a lot of stuff. And you know they've done some high end art pieces as well. There was some Gickleys that were like $200 to $300 to $500 each for some of those for some of the scenes from the second game. One funny thing, there is Neil Druckmann wrote another book before Last of Us, and it has something to do with Sarah. Something Sarah. I can't remember what it's called. Give me a second. I'll be right back.
Sure, I'll have to look that up. But going on Amazon here really quick, the Last of Us Part 1 and Part 2 regular books are still available for like $20-ish. So they're still printing those. Those are pretty easy to find. It looks like there was a Last of Us. I don't know if they call it a deluxe or what, but there is a Last of Us hardcover for the art. Wait, I don't know. I got to dig deeper into this. What is this? I don't know if this is the actual reprinting. By various people. No, this is the art from The Last of Us 1. Kind of dig into that. Either way, there are a lot of books still available on Amazon. It's one of those things where they're sold out at one point. I'm really lucky to have this hardcover as a gift from the wife and where we were at in the start of the collection. I don't know that I'm going to grab more statues because one of the things that we were talking about earlier is there are a lot of vinyl pieces out there already that were being released. And then TLOU was talking about how essentially like this design is being taken and being remade into a much larger statue for to the tune of $600 or $700, but they're not doing anything different. They're just kind of re-releasing this one and the one where she's standing there with the large knife, and I think the Joel one. So these at one point were really, really, really affordable, like 50, 60 some odd dollars online. And I can't even see the manufacturer on the bottom because it's so dark, but there's not much to this. It's just hollow. It's a nice little desk piece. And then as far as what else is out there as collectibles, you guys have seen it with TLOU. This is absolutely amazing where they've got the backpacks, they've got the Last of Us collected editions for the games and the backpacks. A lot of that stuff just absolutely flies off the shelf when the Last of Us day happens. There he is. What did you grab for us?
It's called A Second Chance at Sarah, written by Neil Druckmann, and I haven't read it. It's still sealed, but it's a Dark Horse original book. I just saw his name on it, so I picked it up a while back, and I don't know.
Second Chance of
A
what?
Second Chance at Sarah.
I'm not coming up right away on Amazon. I'll have to.
Yeah, I know there was a soft cover and a hardcover.
I'll find that later after we end the episode.
Cool.
But
Yeah.
dude, there's so many things out there as far as collectibles go. I stuck with trying to do the comic book run and really trying to find that hardcover, that limited edition hardcover. And I think I'm done with statues just like you are.
Yeah. There's no more. I don't want to get any more statues. There's too many. Like we said, it's the same thing. Vinyl was a big thing for me. I love the soundtrack, so we did go after the soundtrack. We got a few. I mean, we got the different vinyls that came out from Mondo, so we did pick those up. I showed some of those last week. Those, well, yeah, they're still behind me here. There was like 2 volumes for number 1, and I think 1 for number 2, and then they did one that was rarities and something like all the songs that they used, like in the second game. There was a bunch of they did like Ashley Johnson sings the New Order song, and she sings the the Aha, the Take on Me, like that's on there. Then the Wayfaring Stranger. So all those songs that they sing in the games are actually the record that had they put the soundtrack out for that too.
That's
That's
pretty
why I
legit.
didn't get it. Yeah, that's awesome.
That's pretty
But
legit. 'Cause I like
yeah,
when you're running through the games, they actually run into record stores a lot of times that are selling records.
it's so good. And Joel's a music fan with the guitar and everything, and so the playing the guitar is such a big part of that game. Game. So.
Well, that's pretty much just over the hour mark, man. Are you excited yet?
I'm excited, man. There's a lot. It's 6 days seems like a long time, is what I want to say, but it'll be here, man. And then, there's like I don't know how many more 9 weeks after that, right? So that's over 2 months of content we're gonna have. So it's gonna be great. I'm excited for it. I'm genuinely have an open mind. I'm gonna take what I get and see how I feel about it after it comes out. Like I'm super excited. Yeah, Sunday nights are definitely gonna be busy for the next month and a half or so.
I'm so excited. I'm going to keep myself absolutely busy at work so I don't keep track of the days and the time. And even I'm so excited that I'm scheduling something for Saturday to keep my mind occupied and busy. Saturday here on the YouTube channel, we're going to be doing a CGC unboxing. And for every CGC unboxing that we do in the year of 2023, we're going to do a slab giveaway to a member live in the chat. So we're trying to schedule a minimum of 12 and try to get even higher than that. So there's like one a month or more of CGC unboxings. And I'm just going to go do them in live. That's one of the biggest challenges I had in 2022 was as graded books would come back. I get the box, I'd sit it on the desk and I'd be like, okay, I got to make time to sit down and open this up. And I want to record it and edit it and post it online and share it and have a good time with that. And I would just end up 2, 3, 4 weeks later to the point where it's been a month and I still haven't opened this box. I still haven't recorded it. I have way more fun going live and hanging out with everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Then let me just go live. And then with everything that's been going on in the comic community in the last like 3, 4, 5, 6 months, I'm like, you know what? I know what I can do. Let's have fun and give back to the community. Not just one giveaway, not just one subscriber push or something like that, but let's do a giveaway every time we open up a CGC box. I got pre-screens that I'm building over here that I want to send out that aren't even a part of that yet. There's several of those I'm putting together. And the first box, I delayed it from last month into January so that hopefully the first submission from Gary at Impressive Comic Books is hitting CGC now and should be getting graded and should be back in time for next month. So I'm trying to pace it so that there's one coming back every month. And I've got 4 more submissions behind me that I've been building, trying to figure out what to put in there.
Yeah, wow.
And throwing an additional book in each one so that we can do a giveaway. And I'm going back to the blind unboxings. I'm not going to peek anymore. Wow. I've been really excited about a lot of the Star Wars stuff I sent out. So everything's going to be blind. And I think I'm just going to go ahead and do it on a Saturday afternoon. At least this first one is just going to be a Saturday afternoon. I know there's a lot going on through the week and everybody's really busy. So let me find a time in the community where enough people are bouncing around and not at work that they can stay and actually hang out and be a part of the chat and try to win a book.
That's awesome. That's unbelievably awesome.
Hopefully we can hit all 9/8 and give away a bunch of 9/8, but it's going to be a lot of fun. That's going on here. I hope to see a lot of people here for that. I'm really looking to connect with a lot of people that I've met over the last few years while they've got time to hang out. But dude, this is going to go by so fast. I don't even know how to process it at the moment. We're going to be here. We're going to set the show. I'm committed to sitting down and watching it Sunday night, even if it's a little after 9. We might have to go a little after 9. And I know there's several podcasts out there that I'm excited to catch on Mondays and Tuesdays afterwards. HBO has they've given the official podcast title to a group out in Australia, actually. And they have a YouTube page. And we're going to be talking about that and sharing that in the comments and sharing that on IG so that people can find their information and find their stuff and catch their shows. They're 15 hours ahead, I think.
Oh, wow.
So it's something like 4 a.m. our time on Sunday. They're going to be just finishing the episode. They're a day ahead. So if you go 15 hours back, I think it's like 4 a.m. Sunday our time is when they start going live after their episode airs.
Oh, wow.
Exactly.
Oh,
They're like half a day ahead.
Wow.
What's up, Callie? We're just ending the episode. Please catch the replay. Don't forget, every Monday night, 9 o'clock for the next 2 months, we're going to be here talking The Last of Us reactions and episode reviews. To last Monday and this Monday has been about getting to know the hosts and then diving into some of our predictions and some of our confusions, at least some of my confusions, and then going over the collectibles. So I'm really excited, man. I just got to know as we close this out, where can people find you and what do you have going on next?
Oh, so I will be on the Renovision channel on Wednesdays. We do the tax show, and that's at 9:15. You'll probably have a link in the description for Renovision, and then on Sunday I will actually be doing a show in Livonia. So I'll be setting up a Livonia show on Sunday.
That's right.
So,
I might not be able to make it to that one, actually, now that I think about it, because we're doing a
crazy.
makeup Christmas with the family that wasn't able to make it over. Dang, I hate to miss that show, too. That's a good show.
Yeah, it's. I mean, we didn't have one in December, so November was the last one. So I got a show that day, gonna come home. I don't know if I'll have time. I won't have time to take a nap. I'm gonna watch Last of Us. I'm gonna go to sleep and get up Monday, go to work, and then I'm gonna do the show on Monday night. It's gonna be a crazy couple of days, but I'm ready, man. This is good.
It's
The
gonna be
excitement's gonna keep me up.
It's gonna be epic. Like I was exhausted today, but being with you guys has re-energized me. I'm really excited. But that's it, man. That's another successful, fun Monday diving into this and opening this up and getting started. So I'm really excited for next Monday. And you guys know how we end this, right? Most everybody does. We're gonna go peace out. We're gonna go piggies out. I'm gonna catch you on the flip side for the next one. And remember, the most important part all day, every day. Take care of each other because we're all we got. Have a good night, everybody.
Good night.
Be excellent to each other. And party on, dudes.